computer. All right, looks like we're recording. All right, greetings, salutations, and what's up, my brothers? All right, so today's broadcast, we're going to be doing this on getting better results out of life. I was schooled on this about 7 odd years ago from a guy by the name of Colin Collard, who is the president and CEO of Entrepreneurs Organization, the worldwide chapter. There's several thousand members in the groups in pretty much any significant city around the world. So Istanbul, you can go all the way around the globe. So any big city. This guy's basically facilitated forum retreats and moderation. And he put together a protocol for punching through holes and vulnerabilities that people are unwilling to address or unwilling to look at. A lot of the times you look at them in a way that's attached to the Johari window, where there's things that are known and there's things that are unknown. And it's often the things that are unknown to you that are seen by others, which is where the biggest area of growth is. And this is a very, very simple system. I actually did a video on this, I think a couple of years ago, a very early one. So this will kind of be like more of an extension of that. And, we'll have some Q&A component to it. But quite simply, getting better results out of life requires you to examine results and then engineer it in a reverse sort of fashion. John's a military guy, so he'll probably recognize this story. There was a B-29 bomber during the Second World War that went over Japan, didn't have enough fuel to return, or was damaged or something like that. So it had to land in Russia. And then this is when the Russians started to reverse engineer American technology, and they made an identical version of the B-29 bomber. It looked exactly the same. They called it something else, like the Kalashnikov, some bullshit like that or the other. So reverse engineering ideas that already been perfected are a much easier way of getting solutions to problems that you might have, or sticking points, rather than taking it from scratch. So this is essentially what the process is. It's looking at results and then coming down to choices and then re-engineering the belief system. So the easiest way for this to be described in the most common, sensible terms, we all eat every day, unless you're fasting for days on end. But I mean, we generally speaking all eat every day. When you go and get your food, you're not hunting it, you're going to a grocery store. And there's always somebody in front of you in the lineup with a cart or a buggy, whatever it is you want to call it. They unload their shit. It goes on the conveyor belt and you watch it kind of go across, and they scan it, and then the person pays for it. What I want you guys to do is to consciously start to program your mind to see things this way, is look at the correlation between what's on the conveyor belt and what that person looks like. And this might come off, to some people that might not be comfortable doing it, is kind of a judgy way to, live your life, or to go about observing this sort of concept. But if you practice this, if you exercise this muscle of associating inputs and outputs like this, again, everything that they're putting through the conveyor belt goes home with them in the fridge, on the stovetop, in the microwave oven, however it is they choose to prepare their meals. It's going to go in their body, and then the end result will be what they'll end up looking like. Of course, there's exercise, which is another component of that as well. But at the end of the day, there's always a direct correlation, 100% of the time. And you'll start to notice this. You're going to, at some point in the next week, somebody's going to comment in the community and go, "Yep, it's become a curse now. I've started to notice this everywhere I go. At the Starbucks, at the Tim Hortons, at the grocery store, wherever it might be. I'm starting to see this on a regular, consistent basis. Rich, F you. You've changed the way that I'm viewing people in public now." So look at the direct correlation between the choices that they make, because these people take the exact same buggy. They walk into the same store that you do, and there's shitty food choices in there, and there's good food choices in there. And they decide to put certain things in that buggy that they then go and buy and they take home and consume. You also have the same choice to select the same crap that they pick, or, it might be great, it might be worse than what they're consuming. You've got the same opportunity to choose, put in your buggy, and buy what you want, to consume what you want. And again, there's always going to be a direct correlation between the choices made and the results gained. So again, it's results. Choices are made here, of course, on a daily basis. We all get out of bed the same way. We put our feet on the ground the exact same way. And we walk off and get our day started, with the exception of Joshua, of course, who is one of our good friends in the community. But for the most part, we all get out of bed the exact same way, and we walk off and start our days, and we start making choices throughout the day. every single choice that we make throughout the day is going to get us a result. And if you're not liking the results that you're getting, if they're shit, if you're not making the money that you want, if you're interacting with people that are not lifting you up, that are draining your bodies, that are exhausting to be around, then your belief system, which lies basically beneath the surface. Picture like an iceberg, or just a ice in your glass of water, for example. It's just the surface of it that you see. That's generally the results. Everything beneath the water is really where the mass is. Anybody that's done any kind of programming work will understand that. Like here on my phone, for example, I've got an Android phone, right? So it's got an Android operating system. It's version, whatever it is, 8.172 or some shit like that. And it's programmed and designed to function a certain way. Certain inputs, which are the choices that the operating system makes, will get you the outputs, which will be the results that you're looking at. For you to get a different result using this device, you need to change its belief system, which is its operating system, to make different choices to get different results. So again, choices are made in the head. The belief system is basically your core value. It's your heart. It's your gut feel. And that's how you choose to go about your day. Just like the guy that goes in the grocery store and chooses to buy grass-fed beef and vegetables versus the guy that goes to the freezer section and gets a shitload of microwave dinners and a bag of chips. There's going to be a direct correlation between the results they get in their body versus the other guy that's buying the healthy grass-fed shit and vegetable, cooking his own meal sort of thing. There's always that direct correlation. And that comes from the belief system. This one guy over here that's eating crap believes that this is okay and it's sustainable and it's the right thing for him to do, and that's what he's comfortable with doing. And that's why he gets those results. The other guy over here that's choosing to get the veggies and the grass-fed beef and cooking it all himself, and who's getting better results out of life, feeling better, he's healthier, he's got more energy, his dick works in the morning, all that sort of stuff. It's because he's made those choices. So it's a very, very simple process. And once you distill it for once it is, like once you look at the code in the matrix for what it is, you can then be a lot more intentional with your day-to-day choices and what you do to aim to get better results. You want to make more money? Start making better choices. If you're not making the right choices, you need to update your beliefs. If you recognize that spending time doing, or playing video games for 8 hours a day is not going to get you the results that you want, it's up to you to update your beliefs to say, okay, it's time for me to delete that app from my phone or put down the controller on the PlayStation and read a book, take on a second job, do a side hustle, create content, upload videos, build an audience, whatever it is you're going to choose to do. It's on you, like it's incumbent upon you to look at the results that you're getting and then reverse engineer it. Again, results, choices, belief system. It's that simple. You want better results? Make better choices every day. You'll start to get them. That always comes from the belief system. Me believing that I can do better, make more money, have more impact, build a community like this is really that day by day, step by step process. I'm going to mute you, Eric. I'm going to go over here to this. Actually, wait, before I go to these questions over here, is there anybody that needs any clarity on this? I mean, it's pretty basic the way that I kind of work with this, the way that Colin Collard kind of explained this to us all. A bunch of you are muted, so if you have to, just unmute yourself. Just give me a thumbs up or let me know or put it in the chat. Okay, so that makes sense, everybody. I see the chat there. Jahari window. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, so we dropped that in there. You guys can check that out or just Google it if you're watching the replay of that so you have a little bit more clarity, understanding. By the way, you're not going to be able to find anything on Collard. His company is called Fireweed, and it's based out of Calgary. You'll get a little bit of information on him on the webs, but he's kind of like way under the radar. He likes to stay away from it. Let me go over the questions over here that you guys jumped into. John, do you want to unmute yourself and ask yours? Where are you?
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Here we go. My question, I actually have two of them, but I'll start with the first one is time management systems. Do you use a time management system? And if so, which one works best for you? Or do you not use a time management system and you're just going with the flow of what lands on your plate?
I usually keep a list of 3 items that I need to deal with, and I aim to do them at least in one day, minimum 3 days if it's a lot of work. So, today, for example, my biggest project was collecting some red pill sound bites for an extra chapter that I'm building into the book. You might have seen it on social media, Twitter, or on the Facebook page. Just kind of like organizing those ideas, laying them out, distilling them. I had to complete another chapter, and I had to do some editing work on 2 other videos. So it was basically, 3 segments of work. So it was video editing, thumbnails, description, tags, the survey for the red pill summary stuff, and then complete the other chapter, right? Do the final edits through it. So as long as I get those 3 things done, for me, I'm happy with that, right? I mean, some guys will want to work 10 hours a day. For me, I've gotten to the point where I've done like the 10, 11-hour days, in the past. And I'm content and happy with being productive, getting 3 major tasks done for me. And then I can move on, with the day and do other things. And I always break it up in the middle of the day, right? Like usually by midday, I'm either going to eat lunch and then hit the gym, or I'm going to hit the gym fasted and then eat lunch afterwards. But I always kind of throw something in the middle, so I'm not sitting around all day long in a chair. I've ended up with like back problems and shit because of posture. So I'm just aware that, okay, well, if sitting around too long is going to give me neck issues and back posture problems, get the fuck up and move around, right? So, make that choice to get that better result. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And I think there was a second part to your question. Did you have something else there?
Yeah, it's totally different from the time systems. Time system one is what's your take on abundance mentality when it comes to money and scarcity mentality? Do you abide? Do you believe in that stuff, or like law of attraction at all?
Yeah, like the law of attraction is kind of basic stuff. It's an older concept now. It's been around for 20 odd years or so, maybe even longer. If you have the expectation to do well at something, or if you go looking for the good in a scenario, a great example that I can always use with the law of attraction, a lot of you guys will get, because you've definitely experienced this. I mean, for the most part, many of you have, where you're dating a chick and she's always looking for trouble. She's always looking for some past indiscretion. She goes looking through your private shit. She goes looking through your computer. And it's like, the answer I always give to that is, look, if you're always going to go digging for dirt, or if you go looking for problems, you're going to find them, right? So if you enter your day with the expectation that good is going to come out of it, that productivity is going to come out of it, that you're going to put a dent in the universe, that you're going to have impact, whatever it is that it might be, then your belief system is going to encourage you to make the choices that will get you the results that you're looking for. If at the end of the day, you look at your day and you're like, fuck, man, I got really bad results today, that's because you didn't make great choices based on your belief system, right? So you can always just go backwards through that flow. Results, choices happen here, belief systems built into here, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Corey, you posted a question. You just want to ask it, just stop me from reading it? You're muted still.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, honestly, I've had a crazy week, so I don't remember what I asked. But yeah, if you can find it and read
okay. All right. Yeah. I just figured it's better if we do the interaction way. There it is. Knowing what you should and shouldn't compromise on, getting your vision done without sweating the small stuff. Can you just kind of maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's just, I know we're supposed to have our own frame and be the locus of our own control. But in order to interact with the world, nothing's ever going to be perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as a general rule, we don't want to compromise. We just want to live our best lives to our best ability. But never in the history of mankind has the world ever completely set up perfectly for what we want. So I'm trying to figure out what's the line between keeping your frame and keeping yourself your own locus of control while also compromising small things to actually get your main goals, if that makes sense. Because I kind of hear both sides of thoughts. It's never compromise ever versus, I mean, if you have to get what you need, then okay. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I mean, the men in the world that have put a great dent in the universe, that have had tremendous impact. I mean, let's use Steve Jobs as an example. And the stuff that you've seen in documentaries and videos and movies on him, and even in books, that's just kind of like surface stuff. I was at this event, Mastermind Talks, about 8 years ago. What the hell was the founder's name? One of the co-founders, Robert Kiyosaki or Kiyosaki. Anyway, he was one of the founding members of Apple, like one of the first 5 staff. And he was telling us the story about how Jobs was so maniacal about every little thing that he would get pissed if the garbage cans were the wrong shade of black, right? Like
Yeah.
he would have a hissy fit if the garbage cans were the wrong shade of black, because he was so into making sure everything had to be a certain way. And that's one way to get things done. I mean, yeah, you're going to piss off some people on the way. Like, there's a lot of people that recognize him to be a bit of an asshole. And that's fine. I mean, assholes get things done in the world, believe it or not. Or you can play into the feminine imperative a little bit more and be a little softer, make some concessions, maybe not rub some people the wrong way, yield. But that will take up a lot of time and resources. I mean, there's a reason why Apple's the most valuable company in the world right now, right? And it's not because of Tim Cook. It's because of the foundation. Basically, the blueprint of the way that business was set up and run was based on his maniacal, structuring of every little thing that he did, including the blackness of the garbage cans, right? So it's up to you, like, whatever fits best with your personality. For me, it's like, I'm just like, I don't have time for shit. Like, if you're going to fuck me around, most of you guys already know what happened a bunch of months ago with Anthony, the 21 convention. I'm out. I'm done. Like, I don't need this bullshit. Right. There's other guys that stuck around. Right. So it really depends on your personality type and what you're willing to tolerate. I've got a much lower tolerance level for BS. And I also have the luxury of not having to put up with as much BS as I used to have to 15 years ago, simply because I've done the work. I got the passive income sources. I've got multiple businesses running. I don't have to bend the knee to some arrogant prick that could potentially put my life in danger, sort of thing. Right. So it's really fluid and based on where you are and where you want to go and really how productive you want to be. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because, right now I'm in social work. My new job's just a different type of social work, but it's still the same thing where it's very female centered. Like at my employee orientation, there was 11 employees there, and it was only me and one other guy. The rest were all female. 2 of them were pretty hot. I chatted them a bit, but and they're going to be at another office. But the rest, we're all 40-year-old, obese people, women. So, like, the nature of my job in general is relatively feminist, but in order to improve it, they really need a masculine role model. And that's what I've always tried to do, is be like a man missionary and do the positive masculinity and show that, men aren't bad and you kind of need a father figure to get anything to run right.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have to run under, female bosses with their own issues.
Right.
And so that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to figure out that balance between, yes, I think the work I've been doing in social work is good, but how much am I compromising and giving up on to do that, And so that's just been weighing on my mind, is like, how much of this do I not need and still get fulfilled versus what good am I doing and are these compromises worth it?
Yeah, you're going to find that you're going to have to compromise more in the female primary social order, where you're an employee, where most of the staff are, left-leaning feminist sort of social workers. But that's just the space that you're in right now. I mean, you can operate more in your own scope getting out of it, but it's always like you're always going to become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So even though you're the most red-pilled, masculine guy out of that crew, your average will always be different from like a conversation that maybe John and I might have, for example, right? Just because of that space. And that's fine. I mean, as long as you find that the results you're getting, you're happy with, then keep doing what you're doing. But the minute that you start to look at your results and you're like, I really wish I was making more money, or I was putting more of an impact in these people's lives when I do the counseling, or, whatever the measurement item is, that's not where you want it to be, then what you have to do is you have to go backwards now. Okay, results are not looking the way that I want. I have to make better choices to get the results that I want, which means I need to believe something different from what I've been believing. It's that whole adage of, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, you have to change that belief to make your choices differently every day to get the better results.
Yeah. Okay. Ugh. But yeah, it gives me a lot to think about, but yeah.
There's a bunch of questions in here, and I know there's a lot of people, and I only see like 7 on the screen. The rest of them are kind of like off to the right. So if there's anybody else that wanted to ask their question live rather than me reading it, then just unmute yourself and ask away. Just kind of scrolling through, look at the names. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go back up to the top here. Drago said, what do you do after you achieve some milestones and objectives? It seems like I get stuck after hitting my target and then kind of waste time setting new targets. Is this a form of procrastination? It's absolutely a form of procrastination. And I do that sometimes too, when I recognize that I'm not interested in getting different results, which is okay. I mean, I'm content with a certain element of my private equity investing. I could get better results. I could get more money out. I could maybe get more lucrative rates of return. But I've learned from my experience that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So the results that I'm getting, I'm okay in that area. Could they be better? Absolutely. But the input that I have to put into it to get a marginally higher ROI on it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, to put it in perspective, for me to get 1 point better, I probably have to put 7 points into that to get that measurement of 1 point higher. I'd rather take the 7 points of energy, for example, and apply it to something else that has a better ROI. So that's when I find myself getting stuck on something, and that's okay, because all I'm doing is I'm reallocating my energy to something else, right? I talked about, the measurement of managing your fucks, where you only have so many fucks in a day to give, and to only give them to things that are truly fuck worthy. That's why I just reserve those fucks for something else, because the ROI is going to be better somewhere else. And I'll get a higher rate of return on what I'm going to put my time into, if that makes sense. Ishan says, how do you overcome the fear of being alone after a breakup and rebuilding socially? That's interesting. So this is kind of back to the chick thing now. Well, you can only control what you input into that equation of the relationship. So I'm assuming we're talking about an LTR. I don't know if you're on right now, Ishan, if you're watching this live, but you can always unmute yourself and correct me. I'm going to pronounce your last name wrong. It's Ishan Goenka, Goenka. So I'm totally going to butcher it, so I apologize. But you can only really control one part of the universe, and that's yourself. So examine yourself in that equation. Don't beat yourself up too much over it. A lot of it has to do with blue pill conditioning, plugged in the female primary social order, of course, something we've talked about a billion times. All you have to do is read Rollo's first 2 books like a couple times and you'll get it. But to rebuild, you have to look at the results that you want to get out of life. And more importantly, you need to make yourself your mental point of origin, because a lot of guys will get tied up into like the blame game of blaming themselves. It's either, it usually boils down to, I find anyway, and I talk to hundreds of guys now, on these coaching calls, it's either resentment or guilt. And they're really both negative emotions. They're the most negative ones that you can feel. One's towards somebody else and one's towards yourself. So usually through the course of a breakup, you're going to resent her. Example, she cheated on me, what a cunt, the way she treated me, the way her kids treated me, whatever it might have been. I'm just using my ex-single mom as an example. And then there's the guilt that you kind of feel towards yourself for letting yourself be abused and have to go through that grinder of all that BS, right? And then all you got to do again, just look at the results, look at the choices you made every day, and then update your beliefs. So for me, coming out of that personally, the single mommy equation, it was, okay, the results I got out of this relationship, like the ROI was crap. I obviously made some very, very bad choices, vetting this chick and tolerating certain, nonsense with her and her kids. All I got to do is update my beliefs. And I mean, one of the things that kind of led me to with the creation of content on my channel is talking a lot about the dynamics in the sexual marketplace between men and women, especially, divorced men dating single mothers that have kids in tow, and the kind of, dynamics that show up within that. And I think you guys all recognize I've become incredibly accurate with the distillation of that updated belief system. And people will point and sputter at you guys. Like when you update your beliefs because you want to get different results, they're going to get mad. They're going to say, well, you've changed, or why have you become so harsh, or why have you become so cold? Well, motherfucker, the choices I was making before, they didn't work. They didn't serve me, right? I really had to change that belief so I could get the better results out of life that I want, so I could feel better about the way that I navigate the landscape. So I hope that answers that question for you. Matthias Finkin, I think he's in Europe, so he's probably out cold. He's probably sleeping right now. So your question was how to cut losses right and short. So how to cut your losses. short, basically, is the question. So when to cut your losses? That's simple for me. I mean, when you're spending tools, resources, money, whatever it is on something that you're doing, and you see there's no ROI on it, that's, for me, it's obvious, right? Again, results, choices in the head, belief system over here. So if I'm doing something that's not getting me results because I'm putting effort into it and nothing's happening, it's not moving the bar, then all I have to do is say, okay, let's make a new choice. Can we reevaluate this? Can we do things differently? Can we pivot? Can we take what we've created and then pivot in a certain degree and then turn it into something else? Like YouTube, for example, when it was first created by these two creators in their garage, was created as a video dating site. Only people weren't using it for a video dating site. They were using it to upload and host videos. And that's how it pivoted into YouTube. So it was no longer a dating site. So they figured that the ROI on creating an online video dating site wasn't going to work. So they were just turning into a video hosting site. So you just recognize the results suck. You make some new choices by updating your beliefs. And they just sat down one day and say, okay, we're no longer a video dating site. We're now a video hosting site, right? That's how it works. Corey, we did yours. Ben, how to not get overwhelmed about what you want out of life versus where you're currently at. Ben, are you on? Can you clarify that question or maybe use an example?
Yeah. So basically, put some frame behind that question is right now I'm working about 50, 60 hours a week, making 55K, and also working to go to the first house hack. And then Curtis helped me with that. Shout out Curtis. And also working on the Amazon FBA with Jeff and also powerlifting. And I guess, how do you not get overwhelmed by everything? Because kind of burning the candle at two ends a little bit with everything. And also, how do you prevent burnout without also being stressed out about when you do take a break, you're kind of, I guess the mindset of if it's not in for it, then it's kind of in the way.
Well, it only really, sense. Yeah. So it really only feels like burnout when you're not finding any wins, right? Like you're doing the work, you're building an FBA business or you're working into a house hack or something like that. And you're doing all this work and there's no wins. When men do work, when we compete, we need to feel a win somewhere. And that's part of the ride up, right? I mean, wins in a business, for example, you can look at your monthly revenue. You might start out making a couple of $1,000s a month, and then you're going to get into 5 digits and then 6 digits and then 7 digits, right? You want to see a trend that's going to demonstrate wins to you so that you're feeling confident that you're putting something into something that has impact, that is putting a dent in the universe. You will feel the overwhelm when you're not on your purpose and you're doing something that you hate that doesn't have any wins tied into it. That's when you'll start to feel really frustrated and burnt out and like you're spinning your wheels. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then how do you, because it's kind of balancing, yes, I need to find that passion, but also the 50, 60-hour week, it's hard to focus on finding that, then getting done with the gym and maintaining everything else within that without trying to set myself like making an excuse. What would your advice to be to then find that with that amount of time getting?
Well, it kind of boils down to that old saying, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. So invest your time and energy into something that's going to allow you to win, right? A small win, something. You got to find it in what it is that you're working on so that you don't feel burnt out. And you might find that might mean you're going to have to put something on the back burner. Like if you're spinning too many plates, kind of like it comes to like spinning plates with women sort of thing. Like if you're spinning too many plates, you're going to find that there's not going to be anything in it for you. Right. So if you've been throwing a lot of energy, let's just use something like the house hack, for example, as one of the 3 or 4 there, and you've been doing it for 6, 7 months. What you have is you have a hobby if it's not paying you. And if you're going to treat it like a hobby, you're going to get paid like it's a hobby. And at some point you got to recognize that, okay, if what my belief is that I want to be a successful entrepreneur and run a business, you need to start making choices daily that are going to get you the results leading towards that. So again, if you're getting results that aren't useful, aren't aligned with what it is that you've laid out in your plan. I mean, if your vision is these 3 goals and none of that is showing up on those 3 goals, then your results suck. You need to make better choices, which means you need to have a brand new belief system, which is going to drive you to the results that you get. It's very simple, because when I started out doing this debt stuff, I had this vision board. I did a video on my channel a long time ago. So if you look up afterwards, I don't know if somebody can do it while I'm talking, maybe just search on the channel, vision, like why vision boards don't work, plus entrepreneurs in cars, and then just put it in the chat there. But they do work in the sense that what I did was I created this vivid image of what I wanted out of life. And I had it up in front of me, similar to how I'm sitting here right now, but I'm not sitting in front of a window. When I was working in this office, I was sitting in front of a wall and the window was over here. And on the vision board, every time I did something, with every customer that I talked to, with every potential hire that I made, with every mortgage company that I tried to get into to get their settlement business so that we could help them close more mortgage deals. If it wasn't going to get me to what I was looking at on that board, I wouldn't do it. Right. So the deal had to be big enough. It had to have enough payoff for me to get into it. And there's going to be things that you're going to realize as you're assessing them are not going to have the ROI based on your experience. And you're just going to drop them and just say, okay, this is not for me. Right. Based on your own experience. And that's going to take some losses. I mean, like, you can either live through the experience yourself and make the mistakes and burn the time and money on it. But far, far better than that is learning from somebody else, that's done something similar. Like, learn from their mistakes, because that's the real hack. Like, that'll get you to the idea of what you need to do, what you need to believe in to make the choices to get the results that you need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Let me scroll down here a bit more. Athar Afzal. So we got a fitness question. Are you on? If you want.
I am on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, fire away. You got a question?
Yeah, I do. So I speak to a lot of guys, and everybody says, I'm recently divorced. So, the funniest thing is everybody says is hit the gym, go there, do, lift heavy weight. I've even heard your videos as well. And I'm just like, when I go there, I'm completely lost. What am I doing? What's the thing? And I find some guys, like 20 or 50, they just know. They just hit the gym. They know exactly what they need to do. I'm just curious, how do you or others, like, do you have a plan? Do you follow something specific meticulously, or do you just go randomly? How do you go about doing it?
How old are you?
I'm 41.
41. Have you had your T levels checked?
No, I did a couple of years ago. They were perfectly fine.
Okay.
But I should definitely check that out. I mean, I've always been a fat kid. I was the guy that was bullied in school, always been the fat one there, and I've remained fat. I mean, yo-yo dieting and all that kind of stuff, and here and there. But
so let's just use that as an example. If I can pick on you a little bit, I mean, do I have your permission to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a fat person, in my view. Like, there's no big bones, dug up through history and archaeology dig sites. Your belief, and you're using that language. I've always been a fat kid. I've always been heavier growing up. So your programming is telling you to make choices daily, which are going to continue to get you the results that you've gotten all your life. And you justify the results with the choices, with a belief system that says, I've always been fat, sort of thing. And you don't look obese to me. You look like you're probably carrying a little bit of extra body weight. But a shift in diet and exercise could totally change that for you within 12 months, 100%. So to your question about how and where do you lift heavy, for somebody that's kind of new to it, a personal trainer might need to guide you along the way as far as what exercises to do, what kind of diet to switch you up on. But like, for me, like, I don't do that. I just go to the gym. I know that I did my back the other day, so I'm going to do my legs today. And I don't have a notepad. I don't have you see some people walking around with notepads and stuff like that. I just know that heavy compound exercises for legs do great work, right? So squatting, deadlifts, like morning rows or good morning bent over rows, like the kind of calf raises that I do and stuff like that. Now, to the point of the motivation, if you're finding yourself very low on motivation and very low on strength, that could be an issue with your endocrine system, and you might be off on your T levels, your E levels might be too high. Your cholesterols could be off here and there. So that's something that you'd want to check out with somebody that knows what they're doing. Where do you live, by the way?
Burlington.
Burlington. Okay. So there's clinics that will, take care of that. I mean, there's the one that I go to is called the Gamma Center, and the doctor's name is Jonathan Welchner. It's a bit of a drive, but you could go and, do a preliminary appointment, get your blood work done, and then he'll do the follow-up ones over Skype, like once you become a patient. But you'll find that you'll have a lot more focus, a lot more strength if you get that balance in order. But again, like back to the original thing is you have to take that belief that you have, that you've always been a fat kid sort of thing, and take it out, beat it with a stick, kill it, dig a hole 6 feet down, bury it, and fill in the hole, and that's it. And you have to replace that belief with a new one that says, I'm fit, healthy, right? Like, I'm a fit, healthy dude. I'm a sexy bitch. Whatever it is that you want to use that's going to determine your daily choices, you're going to start using that when you go to the grocery store and you see the conveyor belt. Were you on earlier on when I kicked off the broadcast?
No, I missed the first few minutes.
Okay. Well, I was just talking about basically, be attentive to what people are putting on the conveyor belt and what they look like, because there's always a direct correlation between what they look like and what they're buying to eat, right? So it's just those daily choices that will get you the results that you're looking for. But definitely, take a look at a personal trainer, because that's always going to help. I mean, if you've got no experience there in the past, and just you will feel better. But it's, again, it's the whole, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Like, how do you move from a unhealthy body to one that's more healthy? Day-to-day choices, replacing sugary, sweet drinks, fruit juices, Coke, sodas with water. All those small incremental changes will compound and add up over time. Make sense?
Yeah, that does. So it was Dr. Sorry, I didn't catch the name. Gamma Center, Dr.
Jonathan Welchner.
Okay, got it.
And tell him that I sent you, because every time I see him, he always says, thank you for sending me new clients. And I said to him the other day, awesome, you want to waive my annual fee for me? He doesn't want to do it though. He's a bit of a bastard that way. We'll go to the next one here. So does that help you with that? Or did you have any other question around it? Do you want to get some more clarity?
No. I'm seeing some comments there, so I probably might direct message those people that are sending it to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any other questions, but it was interesting. If you don't mind, I don't know if I can digress, but say no if I don't have time. But the guy before who works as a social worker, I just wanted to sort of comment on one thing he's saying. I'm 41. As you grow older, you don't care. You stop caring about how others feel and how to please others. I think what I was in this world was just pleasing others, and that's how I got out of my marriage. And I have 3 kids. I'm divorced. We have shared custody. My kids fucking threaten me every single day. I'm going to go to mama. Well, go. Right? So you stop caring as you grow older, right? I mean, it's like a process. It's the elephant analogy of eating one bite at a time. So this is just a message for that social worker guy out there.
Yeah, I put out a tweet earlier today. The notion's basically like, take your worries, write them down on a piece of paper and fold them up into an airplane and then turn it into a flying fuck.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Exactly.
0 fucks given. You just kind of like throw it away. And that's one of the things that happens as you get older. Like, you start to care less. You recognize that giving too many shits on something that doesn't have a payoff is really a good waste of your energy. And that's why the people that are out there that give the fewest fucks that I know, they're like older than I am. They're in their 70s.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Makes sense.
No fucks. Like, I show up at his house and he's wearing these slippers with duct tape on the toes. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Just buy some new fucking slippers. Like, that is 0 fucks given right there. Like, he gives so few fucks. His slippers are falling apart. He just takes some duct tape and fucking wraps it around.
Yeah. So we're it's like the external. The external becomes so important, but it's not the external. It's what's inside that matters, right? If the inside is fixed, who cares about the external? Right?
Exactly. It's you that makes the choices. Your belief system decides here what your choices are going to be, and then the results come from the choices as a function of the belief system. So stop believing that you're a fat guy, and you will stop being a fat guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, it's a
That's
lot more
a
work
thumb
than
for
that.
me.
It's way more
Yeah.
work than that, but it's really as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. So Davor said, I don't know if you're on, Davor. Are you on? Just checking here as I scroll across. May not be on. Okay. He said, how to differentiate between disrespect and joke. Is it possible to change the way how people see you? If so, how? We're talking about two different things here, like how people see you and how to differentiate between disrespectful behavior and a joke. The thing with disrespectful behavior and a joke is there's truth to every joke. So a lot of people will try to, pawn off insults. I was just joking around, or just kidding around, sort of thing. Well, there's truth to every joke. That's why they're funny usually, right? So just understand that there's an underlying current there. The second part to that says, is it possible to change how people see you? If so, how? And the first step in changing how people see you is not fucking caring how people see you. Not caring is a superpower. Giving zero fucks is a superpower. So if you're putting far too much effort into thinking about what other people think of you, you'd actually be surprised. I mean, if you think about yourself as you go through the day, pick a couple of people that are close to you in your life, whether it's a chick or, chicks if you're spinning plates, and realize yourself that they spend very little time actually thinking about you. Like just marinate on that for a bit, because they really don't, right? George McRae, I don't think he's on tonight, is he? I think he was on vacation the last time I saw. Okay. He said, dealing with gossip and jealousy. Again, giving far too many fucks about something else. If you're on your purpose, if you get up every day as a man of vision, doing something to put a dent in the universe, you're not going to care what other people think of you. You're not going to care about the gossip or the jealousy. It always comes from beneath, guys. Like I've always said this many, many times before. Whenever somebody is gossipy or jealous of you, it always comes from beneath. Somebody that's doing better than you does not become gossipy or jealous of you. Elon Musk could give a flying fuck who I am. He does not give a rat's ass. He has no fucks to give me whatsoever. He's doing far better than I am, right? But I can criticize him, and I actually have made a video criticizing his blue pill tendencies and highlighting how he could potentially do better. So use that as an example. He doesn't give a fuck because he doesn't know me, doesn't really give a shit about me, right? So you've always got to understand that it doesn't matter who you are or how great you are or what it is that you're doing in your day. There's always somebody that's levels above you, right? And anytime that comes at you where you hear the gossip and the jealousy, and a lot of the time it's pretty harsh. It's always coming from well beneath you. In fact, the harsher that it is, the number of levels and steps that they are beneath you are further down the fucking ladder rungs. Jeremy, how to kick bad habits or blue pill habits. Blue pill habits take a long time to work, man. It's like medicine. It's like medicine. I was talking to a guy the other night on a coaching call, and he was talking about getting over his one-itis. So I'll use that as an example. He was 32 years old. And my theory on it is if you've been on the planet for 32 years as a blue pill beta, it's going to probably take you at least that long to unplug from that conditioning. It's a day by day regimen of updating your belief system and reminding yourself to put yourself first, to not put women up on a pedestal, to not yield to them and bend the knee every single time that they need something, or they play the damsel in distress and they want the Captain Save-A-Ho to come out and save them from their choices. It's a daily habit. I was telling the guy, look, I've been on TRT for just over a year now, and I have to put a pin in my ass twice a week to maintain what it is that I'm living right now. And I'm gonna have to do that for the rest of my life. If I stop, then I'll revert back to where I was, which was weaker, less focused, unable to function in the gym, not waking up with morning wood anymore, all that sort of stuff. So it's just like any other medicine. You have to keep at it if you're going to get the results at it. To the earlier point of Athar, where he's believing that he's fat when he could be just like any other guy out there in the gym that's got, ripped abs and broad shoulders. It's just believing over a long-term basis that is who you are. You have to update the belief and see yourself. Your mind's eye is a very powerful thing. I don't know if you guys are, familiar with the concept of mind's eye, but you can Google it. There's probably lots of videos on it. A lot of the older kind of like seasoned speakers in the self-improvement space, I think Brian Tracy and a few of the other ones like Zig Ziglar talked a lot about the mind's eye and how you perceive certain things. And when you update that belief system, the mind's eye, the way that you see yourself, then you will be doing the things that will get you to the results that you want to get to, right? You'll be making those choices naturally when the mind's eye sees it that way. Last one on here is, what's the Zoom ID? Okay, so that's all the questions. So if there's anybody else that has ideas, topic, items you want to throw at me, then let's go, guys. Let's shoot the shit on it.
There was a question in the chat that got posted like 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Okay. Hang on, I've lost my chat now. Can you just read it out to me?
It says, how do I overcome the fear of getting broke when I start a new business?
Well, my preference is to bootstrap, which is nearly impossible to go broke on. A lot of guys convince themselves that they need a lot of startup capital to run a business. And if you choose the right kind of business, you really don't. There are some that are intensive that way, where you have to build a large audience and there's a lot of technology involved. But if you choose to get into a kind of business where you don't need to throw a lot of money at it, you can get it off the ground as a side hustle. I mean, I created this thing with a side hustle. I was really transitioning out of the total debt freedom business and what I was doing with the equity mortgages and stuff and kind of building this out. And there was a long time where not a lot happened, man. But then one day you kind of have that epiphany moment where it's like taking a frying pan to the forehead and you're like, shit, people are asking me a lot of questions about something they have a huge appetite for. And I seem to be able to have it, the knack to answer that and help them move past those sticking points. So let's go at this, right? And that's when I turned into kind of like a full-time hustle. So I hope that answers the question, if that makes sense. Anybody else got any more questions? You want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, Richard, do you mind if I comment on that question as well?
Yeah, go, Karen.
I think most entrepreneurs have a grit in their gut that makes them willing to put themselves in a position that would make mere mortals crap their pants. And that's not for everybody.
I'm just going to mute you for a sec, Sam.
Sure.
Go ahead.
And so my point is, it's not for everyone. I mean, there is great risk in going into business for yourself, especially if you're not trained in business necessarily, and you're going to have to kind of learn some things the hard way. And so, for those who, if the heat's just too high, I mean, that's okay. It doesn't have to be for everyone. But without risk, there is no reward. But I think risk does need to be reasonable to a degree. And so I think that it's important to establish what your risks are, and kind of understand where your line is. I mean, are you comfortable having $15 in your bank while you're used to having like $4,000 in your bank when you had a full-time job? Things like that. If maybe that's a line you don't want to cross. So that's different for everyone. That's just my 2 cents.
Is he still on? Because if he can unmute himself, if you got a microphone, just kind of maybe elaborate on what that business is. I mean, since you got everybody on.
Are you talking to me?
No, I was talking about who posted the question. Oh, there it is. It says iPhone for Gianco ad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I posted the questions. Thanks for thank you, Richard, and thank you, everybody. Yeah, basically, well, the thing is, in my personal case, I'm 30 years old. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I'm a jazz musician. So, from my upbringing, I don't know a lot of things about business. When it comes to business and making money, my experience has been being an investor in nightclubs and restaurants. So I went to New York City to learn English, and I'm back in Mexico. So I'm building a business that is about buying mezcal from Mexico and take it to New York City to some restaurants. I have a guy in New York City who is a key guy because he's been in real estate for many years. He owns some places in Manhattan. He has managed restaurants there, and I have a bunch of contacts in Mexico. So as I said, I'm more like a guy who is into art, but I have bunch of very good contacts in Mexico. So I said like, okay, I could use those contacts to use money, because it's the way it works, especially in Latin America. So
what is the product that you're shipping from Mexico to New York?
Mezcal. It's this like, it's like tequila, but it's made in Mexico. It's called mezcal. It's very popular in Mexico nowadays. And you can find some mezcal in New York City, in Manhattan, but it's not that popular. So
the strategy will fuck you up, man. I know from personal experience in Cancun, that shit will fuck you up. It's tequila on fucking steroids and ACH.
I mean, it is not like for Loco, for example, that makes you really crazy. It's more artisan, like handmade from indigenous people in Mexico. But I agree. I mean, it has a very level of alcohol, very high level.
So if I could offer a little bit of advice when it comes to that sort of stuff, in my estimation, whenever it comes to a product that you have to move, always go higher end. So make it a premium product. Okay.
Yes.
So if everybody else is pricing it at $30, make a cooler bottle, a better label, make it sexier, and charge $50 or $60. I mean, whatever you think the market will bear on it. Because I mean, if you're shipping it, you want to be able to make as much money as possible moving it, because physical products require inventory. It's going to require a lot more risk than not having to deal with moving anything physical. Like for me personally, I like subscription-based revenue that ties into either memberships or ties into information, something that's digital, something I don't have to stock in inventory that can break in shipping, that somebody's going to complain about to return, for example. So definitely go higher end if you can, and just make sure that you are well researched as far as what the market can bear and what the cost is going to be to operate. And if you got it down pat, just fucking go all in, man. And you know what? It's not going to work out.
How about because I have a mentoring call this week with a guy in Mexico who does business consultant, and he told me that one of the risks of those kind of businesses is credit. For example, I have an order to sell the mezcal to some place in New York, but I need credit in order to take the product to the United States and wait for other clients to pay me, and you have to be.
So if you have purchase orders, you can always get somebody to lend you the money, whether it's going to be a bank or an investor. I mean, if you have a PO for 1,000, 10,000 units, whatever it might be, you got a commitment to buy, you'll be able to find somebody, whether it's a financial institution or an investor, that you can take on to help you get there, right? And that way you're not using your own money.
Yeah. The fear came from a talk I had with a friend of mine who told me that his uncle went really, really broke with a coffee business, that he used to do the business with credit. And once something happened and he couldn't pay the credit to the bank, and it's not like a credit card debt. It was billions, millions of dollars. So when it comes to business,
like you just have to make sure the math works.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a very advisors, right? Lawyers, accountants. All right.
Cool.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, can I chime in on this real quick?
Go for it, John.
Yeah.
I dealt with this in Cancun when I finished with the law firm. This woman was Japanese and trying to take tequila from Guadalajara all the way to Tokyo. Her best friend was the contact in Tokyo, and she had all these contacts there, and she was going to be the sole distributor for this main company in Tokyo for tequila. And she was going from Cancun to Guadalajara on this CEO's jet, the guy that owned this tequila company, on his private jet. She was going probably 1 to 2 times a month. And so one of the issues that she had to deal with is importation. So for you would be exportation of what are the export laws from Mexico into the United States with alcohol. And so that's something to look into as well, because at the law firm I dealt with that with cars and furniture and business products, and jumped into it a little bit with the tequila. So it's a very complex thing. If you think it's complex now, it's going to get 10 times more.
Yeah, because of the law thing. Also because of the FDA thing. I mean, there are certain brands that are not don't have registration in the FDA, so you gotta get it, and it's pretty complex. I mean, I have a team. I mean, I just had the idea, the contacts in Mexico, the contacts in the United States, some savings to do the investment, and that's it. I mean, it's not like by myself. I mean, by myself would be a kind of suicidal thing. I wouldn't do it by myself.
What are the margins like on it?
Sorry?
What are the margins like? Like, are there thick margins?
Margins? No, I mean, we have 3 places we could start to sell it. But first, we have to build a company here, going to a mentoring program with 3 business consultants and start the thing.
I understand the question. So what are the profit margins on the product that you want to ship from Mexico to New York? Like, is there money in it? Like, is there a good profit?
Yeah. I mean, I had the numbers in an email. I mean, I don't have, I'm in my iPhone right now. I mean, I would have to look at my computer and stuff. I mean, I don't have the numbers right now in mind.
Okay.
I mean, that is the thing that I check out with 2 of my partners.
Do you have an accountant?
I have an accountant. Yes, it's one of my partners.
And he's all the numbers. They all make sense to him, because accountants are great for stuff like this. You always need a sober second thinker, right?
Yeah. One of the partners is very good at numbers and finance, and we decided to start the idea of the business because I don't know how to say in English. We elaborate a kind of financial document, corrida. I don't know how to say in English, but it's very details of numbers where we say, okay, I mean, we build a business plan and stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds like you got a good plan. I just got to put your head down and do it.
And trust to partners. Yeah. I mean, it's the business thing.
Trust the process. If you have the process laid out, the numbers make sense, and you have a process to get the product from where you're at to the shelf or the restaurant or the store in New York City, and you've crossed your T's and dot your I's, do the fucking work. You know, if you need to put $100,000 into it and it's going to make you $1 million, do it. Right? Like, that's the leap of faith it's going to take for you to make it happen.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. Let's open it back up to anybody else that wants to jump on in. Just unmute yourself, guys, if you want to pose a question.
I got a sexual marketplace question for you.
Go for it.
So I've just been noticing, I got out of like I'm 29 years old, got out of like a 6-year LTR maybe about 8 months ago. And I've just noticed that I do way better with like in the friends of friends category, like people I already know, or people who when we're, meeting at the same place, it's for a particular reason. And I'm just terrible with cold approach and just, essentially bet zero if I don't already have a working conversational relationship with someone. Is there just, something I'm missing? Is there, some blind spot I have there? And any thoughts on, what I'm missing there?
Well, my preference is to just kind of spread it out in different areas, right? I mean, you're going to go about your day and get your lunch somewhere or your coffee from the Starbucks, and there's going to be a hot girl. And if you're afraid to talk to the hot girl, just get used to asking regular dudes. Just turn around and say, "Hey man, you got the time?" Or if you see the guy on a new phone, just be like, "How do you like that new phone?" Just start to like crack open conversation so you get used to it, and then you work up to the hot girls. But like the friends of friend thing is one area to kind of start with if you want to, and if that's working for you, that's cool. But integrate dating apps, integrate cold approach, You know, if you like sports, if you like volleyball, join a co-ed volleyball team, and just, you know, afterwards you're going to go out and have drinks with the team. I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can go about meeting new women. But I think more important than that is just make sure that you're not falling back into your old blue pill conditioned ways and making yourself your own mental point of origin. You found what your purpose is in life. You're chasing the excellence, right? Like, you're not chasing pussy, you're chasing the excellence. Because when you're doing that, and when you got that right, women will just kind of enter your frame. Like, they'll just show up. You'll be like, holy shit, I got a lot of chicks here kind of around, right? It's just going to happen.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. I see we got Alex on with his Thrasher t-shirt, man. I used to love that magazine when I was a kid.
Yeah, man. I guess it's an artifact from living in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I hear you. Anybody else got any other questions? I mean, ideally specific to tonight's learning event, getting better results out of life. Anybody's getting shitty results in an area of their life that they kind of want to reverse engineer, because we can use that as an example?
Sure, I'll go for that one. So I've been in sales for the last, I guess, 19 years or so on. And every time I get into a job, there's an expiry date. Like, I get into it, a few years later or a few months later, I get let go. And it's just a constant cycle. Right now, I'm again in between jobs. And therefore, I just do a part-time job now just to sort of make my ends meet. Mm-hmm. But, I've come to the point at this stage where no job is ever going to do it for me. I need to do my own thing. But that idea of what my own thing is doesn't stick in my head. So I just have to live with it. To figure out how I either do something of my own or I work for someone else. So I'm just like, how has anyone in the group or anybody like been at a job that you absolutely enjoyed being at? Or, I mean, I know there's a lot of conversation about starting your own thing, but it's, I've tried doing that once or twice before, but I'm like, well, what do I do it in? And that's where, there's all this commitments that you also have in life, where kids and all that kind of stuff.
Well, like, so here's the thing about, if you're not holding down jobs, like, people get hired because of their resume and they get fired because of fit and performance, right? So if you're moving from job to job, they're letting you go because of fit and or performance, one of the two, right? They hired you because they liked you based on the references, based on what was on your resume, and they had an expectation that you would fit. And you could perform really well, but I've seen people get let go because of fit, because I got canned at the job that I was at when I was 30 that forced me to start up the debt business, because me and the VP that I was with, and it was what I talked about in my video today.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Yeah, because I basically told the guy that I was going to throw him and his desk out the window because he was such a cocksucker. He was this French-Canadian prick that was always up my ass about something every fucking day. And he was intentionally trying to push my buttons. So I was the guy that got the package, even though my team was the best performing team in the fucking office. And there was like 500 employees. I got let go because of fit. So it's usually one of those two things. And that's okay. But if you want to go and do your own thing, if you feel like, supplicating employers or lining their pockets with gold is not for you, and you've become decisive and you said, this is what I want to do to get better results out of life, is to be in the driver's seat, find that business, lay out the game plan, and just put your head down and start doing it, right? And maybe you're doing it kind of as a side hustle, but find out what it is that you want to build that you love, and don't chase the money, right? You definitely don't want to build a business that you're going to hate, because a lot of guys will create a business. They'll do very well at it because it might be the right place, right time, might be lucrative sort of thing. But they build something that they hate, which is incredibly exhausting. Although you're in the driver's seat, now you're just driving something you hate.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, just get your head around that, right? Sam, did you want to talk about something? Do you have a microphone? I see you typing, but
Hey,
there you are. There he goes.
all right. Look, I don't want to take up any of your time, but I'm in a little bit of a pickle. I'm just going to be open with you, okay? They are afraid that I'm going to sue them for malpractice here at Florida Hospital in Orlando. I was at the convention, the 21 convention, and then after that, I ended up staying here because my 3 heart doctors told me last year on May 6th that I was going to be dead within a year because my congestive heart failure caused by my stroke was so bad. My heart was at 19%, normal is 60%, but because of the hyperbaric oxygen machine and the ozone therapy every 2 weeks in Carson City, Nevada, it's back up to 45%. So I'm going to live for a long time. You know, I've already told you, I've died 5 times. I've been to hell once. And then the other 4 times I died, I saw the future. And I saw you, Richard, in it. And I got a lot to talk to you about in person. All right, man. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I saw is us filling stadiums. And it's not at the 21 convention that this is occurring. I'm starting a speaking tour. I've already got 11 guys signed up to show up in Atlanta on Father's Day weekend. And I want you there, Richard. I'll pay for your flight if you can get away, but I know you got your daughter. You don't have to do it that weekend. But I'm literally going to have an event at least every 2 weeks. And so that's one thing I want to talk to you about. We can do that later, but just business-wise, I've got the money to pay each of the speakers and to pay for their lodging and travel. But it's just time because the 21 convention is too small. There were 71 paid attendees the last time. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. So I saw in the future that we are going to fill stadiums within the next year. I know it's true. And by the way, I love that Shure SM7. That's one of the best mics in the world. And at $400, every man should get one. The other thing is that the hospital is threatening to sue me. My brother makes $1.1 million a year. He's the best heart transplant guy in the world. And they're threatening to fire him for his job because of my tweets. Because I've been tweeting about the doctor that performed malpractice as revenge on my brother, because he called the hospital 9 times saying, look, my brother's coming to the ER, needs you to do a routine echocardiogram on his heart, because he knew my heart had improved and he couldn't figure out why. So instead of doing the routine echocardiogram, she gave me an injection that made my breathing stop so that she could have an excuse to put a tube down my throat, which ripped my vocal cords in 2. So I've got a new project in Hollywood that has 60 characters. 58 of those characters I can't do right now because of my voice. I'm going to go to this place, I think in Nashville, and they'll be able to fix my voice. But I don't know what to do. I don't know if attorneys take things like this on contingency when you got a doctor that went rogue.
Do you have a lawyer?
No.
Why don't you?
I got billionaire friends, and I have not discussed this with them, but I'm going to. But I don't know anything about this. This is out of my league.
Why don't you post it as an ask in the community? I mean, there's 500 guys in there. Maybe somebody knows a lawyer that deals with this sort of practice. I mean, I don't think we have a lawyer in here that would do it, but they might know somebody that practices in this area. Awesome.
The other thing is I'm serious about this speaking thing. Father's Day weekend is when every Christian man gets his testicles cut off at church. I don't go to church anymore, but I'm closer to God than I've ever been. And I'd like your thoughts. You don't have to do it now, but I would like your advice in the near future on, I've had no trouble getting guys to let me pay for their travel to Atlanta for this first event. And I'd like your thoughts on how much to pay each speaker. And if I'm going to charge money for men to come to these venues, what should be charged? I don't think that charging people $1,000 a seat makes any sense.
Well,
it's about numbers.
Okay. Well, why don't you just stay on the Zoom, when we're done the broadcast? It's recording. This will be up recorded later. So this is kind of to get the better results out, but I'll stop recording when we're done and everybody hops off. And we'll talk a little bit about that if that's okay.
Okay, man.
All right, cool. Any other questions with respects to the broadcast tonight and getting better results out of life, guys? No? Okay, we're good. All right, so
I do. No, I do.
Go ahead, fire away.
So I'm in practice right now and as a chiropractor and about to pivot, like you were saying, like you two did. Currently like insurance is like killing us like with reimbursement. So I'm about to start like a stem cell program and stuff. Cool. My thing is should I just go all in this pivot with the marketing, or keep, even though the margins aren't as high with my main business, because the margins are redonkulous with stem cell. I mean, so my thing is should I dedicate most of my marketing resources to the stem cell, or still keep the main business going? I mean, I have a pretty good word of mouth and stuff like that. So I figure, I mean, like my couple of my colleagues, they're only 3 months in and they're making like $300K a month and stuff like that.
Where do you live?
But I'm in Jersey,
Okay.
New Jersey, South Jersey. So,
yeah, like I took a good look at stem cell therapy last year for my knee. It turned out not being the right solution, but I went through a whole bunch of consults. So I like it. I mean, the sort of stuff that really knocks it out of the park, though, I don't think is legal in the States yet, though. Or maybe.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Real quick?
well, it's basically cord. They allowed cord blood. So, I mean, every 3 months, things are changing and advancing. I mean, I'm going to do it next week on myself.
Yeah, it's definitely the future. But I mean, Sam's got something he wants to add to this. Go ahead, man.
Well, look, I know a bunch of men that have gotten the cord blood stem cells on their dick, and it's totally changed their life. So, you can charge a freaking large amount of money. But I got to tell you, I was just telling Richard, my congestive heart failure, I was given a year to live last year. All right. My congestive heart failure was out of control because my brain is sending the wrong messages. You may have heard of the Amen Clinic. I've been to the one in Atlanta and in Costa Mesa, and they told me to go to Frank Schallenberger, MD, who's trained 400 doctors in ozone therapy. 10-pass ozone therapy, I've been getting it every 2 weeks. It cured my congestive heart failure. My ejection fraction was 19%. It's now 45 and continuing to rise. And I'm in there every 2 weeks with people that have had pancreatic cancer for 5, 10, 15 years. They're curing pancreatic cancer with 10-pass ozone therapy, and it's not illegal in the U.S. like most stem cell stuff is. And also, peptides are the future. I mean, I don't know if you are familiar with my buddy Jay Campbell. Rich is a close friend, too, with Jay Campbell. I want you to get to know Jay, because that's another thing that you can do out of your practice is, prescribe stem cells, or at least, get a doctor that can prescribe them from the compounding pharmacies. Not stem cells, but the peptides, because peptides have turned my life around. I'm on 12 different ones that Jay recommended.
So
I'll definitely look into it.
75 per treatment, 10-pass ozone therapy treatment, and it's only like a couple of hours. You can pack the place out every day.
How much do you pay per session?
$675. It only takes a couple of hours. But see, then when I'm in there, I go ahead and pay an extra $250 to get vitamin C IV, another $200 to get glutathione IV. You see?
Okay. Yeah, while you're in
package all that together, and I'm paying $1,100 every time I go see him. And and I'm in a room. It's like a room full of people with chemo. Every time I'm in there, there's 11 people on chairs in the room. And so each one of those people is paying at least $675, and it's only an hour or two.
Adonis,
but the stem cell is like, I can make like $5,000 in 2 minutes or 20 minutes,
right?
Or $15,000, and I mean, for a cc of stem cell cord, even if I mix it with like Morton's jelly, at the cheapest, I can charge $5,000. But if they need more, they can. I mean, I've done IV, so you can get them. Average guy who's 75 pounds, you need cc per 75 pounds, so that's 3 cc's. You do the math.
Like that.
It's like $9,000.
Protocol that you're going to follow over a longer term, right? So you've got a subscription-based business right there, and it's a service. So they always have to come back to keep getting the good results that they're looking for, right? So
that's why I wanted to talk to you about, Rich. We went back and forth. If you're doing IV, which stem cell is legal, it's just part of the 361 FDA process. So with drugs, you have to go through like a whole long process, but since they're cells, FDA is only putting it through a 4-year process. So it's all about like monitoring the case studies. So we're part of that. But like IV is like sick. So they're starting that too. I'm gonna do all this
out as like a cocktail.
myself.
Can you do like a HRT cocktail that'll give them the stem cells, that'll give them the vitamin C, the B, the testosterone, everything? Like, can you do like a full-on cocktail, bring them in like once a week, give them the 20 minutes?
Yeah. So yeah. So what you do is you do stem cells. That's good for 6 to 8 months. Like I'm going to do a talk down in Jacksonville for a couple NFL players. Um, and I'm going to collaborate. But like, yeah, so every 6 months you can do stem cell IV, you know, like I said, so that's $5,000. And then you can do a banana bag with like glutathione, vitamin C, you know, stuff like that. That's only like $400 a pop. But the thing is, I've seen some sick results. I mean, I had a patient who had psoriasis. We gave her IV, just half a cc, and within 4 days, it all cleared up. So, I mean, you can't say that.
Yeah.
She was getting treated for inflammation. You can't say you're treating this. Like, you know, you have to treat like either like IBS or like, you know, like a joint issue and stuff like that.
Yes,
you know,
that's your market there. I mean, you're very clear on what your market is because they're older and their body's starting to fall apart. Like I know, like I'm 46, right? Like how old are you?
I'm 45.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So, I mean, like you look like you're in great shape too, right? But I mean, like as you get older, your body starts to fucking deteriorate, and if you have money, then you're okay with spending it to bring, you know, to rewind the clock, you know, your biological clock, as much as you can, you know, within reason. So market it that way, man. Like that's what I'd be doing, and create it in some kind of membership where they have to come in at a certain phase on a regular basis. Because then you're not eating what you kill. Like a lot of people create businesses where it's like a one-off thing. Like if you're in medicine, for example, and you do boob jobs, you're always putting tits on the chassis. That's it, right? But I mean, like, if you're in some form of medical practice where they have to keep coming in on a regular basis, like I have to keep going to my TRT doctor for the rest of my life, right? Because I need somebody to look at my blood work. He's got to give me the script, unless I want to go underground lab sort of thing. But either way, he's got a customer for life. He doesn't have to go shopping for new customers. So in my estimate, that's the best customer to have, right? Subscription revenue, give them a good ROI and make it a high price point, man.
Yeah, I went to an event.
The reason I keep mentioning this is because the reason I'm mentioning Tempest-Ozone, I also had Lyme disease. Like if you were advertising that you could get rid of Lyme disease, I got rid of it in 2 treatments. Lyme disease. I mean, who can cure Lyme disease? Nobody.
Yeah, it's illegal to do that. Like as a doctor, you can't say I cure this.
I know. I'm just saying that
you can treat stuff. Like that's where
I could be a testimonial.
Trying to find people like with
Tempest-Ozone. I could be a testimonial for you saying, look, he got rid of my Lyme disease with Tempest-Ozone.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely have to look at it. But yeah, Rich, I definitely want to get with you on that coaching call. But yeah. So, well, I never got the answer to my question. So, should I go balls deep on the pivot?
Yeah.
Or kind of do like a half stroke?
No, I would. Yeah, I would go balls deep. I mean, like this is the future. I mean, like it's going to sound silly, but anybody can become a chiropractor, but not everybody is practicing in this area, right? And while like when you're a chiropractor, you're always exchanging your time for money, right?
Exactly.
I go to my chiropractor every other Thursday morning. It's like $40 for a half-hour session, and that's what he's making. But he's always making $40 for a half-hour session, right? So, I mean, if you can charge a multiple of that, significant multiple of that, and you've got them coming in, and you don't have to necessarily do the work because it's an IV. You can have a nurse do it, for example.
Right? Well, yeah. So basically, a nurse practitioner does it. I don't do any of the work. I basically just close people. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about. Like, I'm a pretty good speaker, and so if I just like I'm doing this talk in 2 months down in Jacksonville, if I just close people, get them in, do the report of findings, and then everyone else does the procedures.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's
kind of like what look too, right? I mean, like I don't know what you look like, from head to toe, but I'm looking at traps and shoulders there, and you look like you can pull off the fuck you kind of look, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I'm a former Olympic lifter. Right? Like I just squatted like 475 for recovery because I'm getting stem cell. So yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, sounds like a good fucking biz, man. I like it.
I definitely need to touch base with you. Just get our schedule together.
Yeah. So just shoot me a DM and we'll set it up.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Love the community, by the way.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being there. Does anybody else want to hop on and ask a question before I stop recording this one? All right. Then we will wrap it up. So thanks for watching this broadcast. If you're watching the recording, thanks to the gentleman that hopped on and participated live. That is the end of this learning event.